Okay, Mark Lehmann here, and welcome to this video guide for the Santiago de Compostela coastal route hike. I did a film about the hike, how was my experience on a Camino, so it makes sense to watch it first and then return to this video. In this video, I will cover all the necessary things you need to know to do the Camino yourself, and if it is possible to do it in this pandemic situation. Mom and I did the Santiago de Compostela pilgrim hike in late October, and it is around 240 kilometers and took us 11 days. Neither Mom nor I speak Portuguese, but I speak some Spanish, so communication was there. Mom always dreamt of doing a Camino and experiencing this spiritual hike. So because I'm leaving in June, I thought I make this dream come true and go and experience with my mom a unique and one-in-a-lifetime travel experience. So you will start probably your journey in Porto, and the airport is like 40 minutes outside of your city. So taking a train is essential and is very cheap. Once you feel ready to start your Camino, you head to the Porto Cathedral and pick up your credential, where you will collect your stamps on the way. From here on, you have to choose. Either you follow the yellow arrows all the way to Santiago, or you skip the part in Porto in the city, which is humongous. It will take you forever to get outside of the city, and take the bus and go all the way to the coast and start your journey over there, which starts with the wooden path, which is well built, and you will be gifted with the first beautiful Atlantic Ocean view. So this is what we did, and I highly recommend it to you. We first started off walking and following the yellow arrows through the town of Porto, but quickly we got lost, as it is very hard to find these arrows in the urban territory, and Porto is just huge. We weren't here for trekking in the city, so we decided to take the bus to the coast and then start from there. And in my opinion, that was the right start, because it cost us a lot of energy to get out of the city, and it's just a 30-minute bus ride. So what did we pack for the Camino? I thought I packed really efficient and minimalistic, but there were still some things I didn't need on the Camino, and which just weighted my pack down and made my shoulders hurt even more. Because your shoulders will hurt. Be prepared, your shoulders will hurt. So these are the items I brought, and some of them were not necessary. Not necessary was the down jacket, because it was all the time hot or warm enough, and while you hike, you sweat and you are hot. One pair of socks, one pair of underwear, one pair of joggers, and the sleeping bag liner. And please don't worry about not bringing enough clothes. There are washing machines and albergues and hostels. You will find something to wash your clothes. And remember, you're not on a fashion walk, you are on a pilgrim hike, and it's no big deal to wear one t-shirt 3 days. What did we eat on the Camino? So we always try to sleep in stayings where the breakfast was included, so we start our journey fed. On the way we ate such things like sandwiches, eggs, cashew nuts. We had 1.5 liter of water, oranges, and of course all the other fruits and foods you can get, which will not smash on your pack. Where to sleep on the Camino? So because it is COVID, most of the albergues were not in business, or some hostels or some hotels, but this was just the case in the smaller towns. In the bigger towns, we found easily hotels through Booking.com, and we never pre-booked something. We just kept walking until we saw in Booking which we liked, which has breakfast, and then we just sleep there. It was very easy. Doing the Camino in the pandemic situation. Yes, there are less people on the Camino, and because they think everything is shut down and the Camino is just not possible. And this is not the case. We met so many fantastic people, other pilgrims, and had meaningful conversations with them. So we loved it, and you should love it too. As you are in Portugal and Spain, you will face two different COVID regulations. In Portugal, you have to wear a mask in closed spaces, but in public, you don't have to. In Spain, you have to wear a mask at all time unless you're at home. So we spoke with a police officer in Spain, and she taught us that when you're on a Camino by yourself or your partner or your hiking group, you don't have to wear a mask. It makes totally no sense, and no police officer will fine you for walking on a Camino and not wearing a mask. So this is what she told us and this is what we did. But other than that, we don't find that COVID made this whole experience somewhat unpleasant. I mean, yes, you have to wear a mask in all urban territory in Spain, but that was fine. You are not that long in urban territory. I mean, max 1 hour. So it was fine. And in our case, the Camino was very enjoyable and the mask was not some kind of restriction why we wouldn't do the Camino. So what are the estimated costs of a Camino? So our round trip flight from Germany to Portugal was 100 euros. Our accommodation was around 307 euros and 77 cents. Then food was around 200 euros and then miscellaneous items were around 36 euros, which makes a total of 649 and 69 cents for an 18 days trip. Who can do the Camino? In my opinion, this Camino is a very beginner friendly Camino and there is like no elevation gain at all, and I think it's just suitable for all the people who are interested in their first long distance hike. You get to walk at the Atlantic Ocean barefoot and just dip into the water. It feels amazing and refreshing and the paths are well built, but obviously there were some days where we needed to push a little bit to stay on schedule. We did some 30-ish kilometers days and sometimes it was exhausting, but if you take some more time it should be totally good and I highly recommend it for beginners. There are some helpful informations I wish to know before the hike started and I would like to share with you. So for all you content creators, you cannot fly your drone in Portugal unless you have a permit for it, which you need to pay for and apply for. And in Spain you don't have any restrictions. I would stay in all these cities because I personally liked them a lot. They were small and cute or bigger or had like a very good beach. So I would make a stop here and enjoy just the ambient, all the surroundings and just rest sometimes. It is very, very important to get your credential because sometimes you get like pilgrim discounts at the Albergues. Just show that you're a pilgrim. You sometimes get pilgrim menus, the food which is cheaper, and you just in general get discounts when you're a pilgrim. So get your credential at the church in Porto, and very important, collect your stamps. You get the stamps almost everywhere, mostly in the albergues and hostels and hotels, but also in some shops, in cafes and restaurants, and especially churches. In churches you get the really nice looking stamps, and I tried to collect as many church and cathedral stamps I could get. The most important thing is that 100 kilometers before Santiago de Compostela you need at least 1 stamp a day, or was it 2? 2 stamps a day for the last 100 kilometers to prove that you hiked the path. If you get to Santiago de Compostela, you need to go to the pilgrim office and then hand them your credential, and they will prove, or they will check that you walk the distance, and then they will give you your certificate. Then you have the option to pay 3 more euros for the more fancy certificate, which tells how many kilometers you walked and it says your name in Latin. In my opinion, everyone should do such a long distance hike because you'll learn a lot about yourself and you'll learn a lot about stuff you own. I've seen so many different pilgrims which had huge backpacks, and they were in even bigger pain than me, as I had all this heavy gear with me. But you learn that stuff is not everything, and you see that with how much less stuff you can deal, and you just don't need that much. Also, you learn a lot about yourself. I learned if you have a stress or problem right now and it will not matter in 5 years, you shouldn't worry about it now either. So yeah, these are my 2 cents. I hope it helped you plan your Santiago de Compostela. I hope it made something move in you to desire or make the decision to make it and do it now in this situation. And I wish you all the best. Buen camino, my friends.